So my name is Amit Gandhi, and I'm the co-founder and CTO for Parker Digital. And I also have Akash, an expert and UX strategist at UXCamp. A very quick intro about Parker Digital. We are now into our 8th year of service, working with more than 80 enterprise clients across 10 time zones. We have 400 plus cloud educated engineers with various specializations, many of them certified to work on multiple clouds. Some of our strategic partnerships include all of the leading cloud providers in Amazon, Azure, GCP, as well as others on the application or tooling side, such as Red Hat or Science Logic, for example. We will discuss about UXCamp, one of our important partners on the user assessment part. And Akash is equally excited to discuss a few pointers and then walk you through an actual demo. Now, almost all of the project work that we do fall into 5 broad verticals. On the left-hand side, we have the product management area, where we engage with many of our customers to do a detailed discovery, assessment of their needs, and then come out with a product roadmap that includes engineering backlog and MVP. And also in some instances, maybe I'm going to go to market strategy to name a few milestones. On the user experience side, we have a lot of experience in conducting UX assessments to understand the gaps and then come out with recommendations on improving them with respect to industry leading benchmarks and setting new ones. This, more often than not, is an afterthought in the engineering implementation, but we think it's an extremely critical aspect to drive your design and user experience. The next one is product development, and pretty much our bread and butter in everything that we work on. This includes working on greenfield applications, modernizing or refactoring legacy applications, or migrating some of these on-prem workloads to the cloud. DevOps is a critical component of this, where we have automated provisioning of environments and release deployment pipelines using industry standard templates and frameworks. Now, once an application is moved to production, we do have 24/7 teams to sustain and monitor these apps. We have used standardized tools and platforms in our operations team and have around the clock operations teams for network, operating systems, infrastructure, and app support. We have recently added a 24/7 capability around security, extending the support for many of our important customers. Finally, on the data side, our teams have advanced capabilities in data analytics, both for product and end users, be it Google Analytics or Adobe to get user analytics, or user or Azure Data Factory or Snowflake for data lakes and real-time engineering. We have resolved pretty complex data use cases and will table it for another webinar where we can have a much in-depth discussion about the same. Now, moving on to user experience and the user experience of Honeycomb, this provides a framework for assessing and improving user experience. This framework consists of 7 different facets: useful, desirable, accessible, valuable, credible, findable, and usable. Useful refers to the extent to which the product or service meets the user needs and goals. Desirable relates to the emotional response of the user, including aesthetics and branding. Accessible focuses on providing equal access to all users, regardless of their abilities. Valuable refers to the benefit provided by the product or service to the end user. Credible relates to the trustworthiness and authenticity of the product or application. Findable is concerned with the ease of navigation and discovery. Finally, usable focuses on the ease of use and the user's ability to complete tasks efficiently. By considering each of these facets, businesses can identify areas for improvement in their user experience and create products and services that meet the needs of the users. Moving on to the next slide, UX assessment strategies are a vital component in evaluating and improving the user experience. Most of them are included here, but some common strategies include user testing, heuristic evaluation, analytics analysis, and surveys. User testing involves observing and collecting feedback from users as they interact with a product or service. This can be done through remote or in-person sessions and can give you some valuable insights into how users navigate and interact with your application. Heuristic evaluation involves a group of experts evaluating a product against a set of usability principles or heuristics to identify potential areas for improvement. Heuristics analytics analysis involves reviewing user behavior data to gain insights into how users interact with a product or app. This can include metrics such as time on site, bounce rate, and conversion rate. Surveys can be used to gather user feedback on a product. This can include questions on usability, satisfaction, and overall experience. By using a combination of these assessment strategies, businesses can gain a comprehensive understanding of their user experience and identify opportunities for improvement. With that, let me invite Akash to take you through the next few slides from a UX CAM point of view. Akash?
Thank you, Amit. Let me just share my screen if you can stop sharing. Can you just provide me access to share? Yeah. Yep, I have it now. I hope my screen is visible.
Yep.
Perfect. Once again, thank you, Amit, for providing me this opportunity to speak in front of this audience today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today to explore how really can UX CAM SDK help with data-driven UX assessment for any application. To quickly set the agenda, I will be focusing on two key points today. One, how to improve activation rates of your new users, and two, how to improve retention. But before we dive into how to really analyze the UX effect on conversion, I want to quickly introduce you to UX CAM. For those who aren't familiar with us, UX CAM is the market-leading app qualitative analytics tool. We help you really focus on what really matters, the end user. UX CAM is a single source of truth for mobile app insights to help you design more user-friendly experiences while improving your product KPIs as well. We empower your entire organization from helping product teams design better user experiences to allowing engineering teams resolve bugs faster. And most importantly, the elephant in the room today, which is how you can use UX CAM to improve conversion rates and reduce churn. Here's a quick fact before we start. As of November 22, 60% of all web traffic came through mobile phones and applications. People are checking their phones on a daily basis, almost 150 to 200 times a day. For mobile apps in particular, revenue has now grown to over $380 billion per year, which obviously is now a massive market. I think most of you have experienced the impact of the current economic climate this year. Budget for new user acquisitions have shrunk, and the time for growth at all costs is gone. We all have to be more cost efficient and do more with less resources. Therefore, the importance of UX is now greater than ever. The two main business goals today are to reduce your CAC and to improve your LTV and retention. We will talk about how UXCam can support you in contributing towards these business goals, where I will cover A, how you can improve user activation with UXCam, which should essentially help you bring down your CAC. And two, I will help you understand and talk about how can we continuously optimize UX to improve retention and improve your customer support process overall. Now let's talk about the first point, improving user activation. I think most of you probably have experience with funnel analytics solutions like Firebase, Mixpanel, Amplitude, and such. The unique benefit of using UXCam's funnel analytics is our USP, that you get to directly dive into the session recordings at certain drop-off points to understand the user behavior and the journeys that led these users to quit the application. A really common misconception is that the problem always lies at the step where the user drops off. Typically, if a user is entering a funnel, they obviously have a very high intent to complete it. So although you see a majority of the drop-offs happening at step 3, there could actually be a possibility where there were issues happening where you could optimize the UX at step 1 or at step 2. And it's step 3 where again an issue happened that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. This is probably one of the most bigger reasons why our customers come to us, because they have no problem tracking the metrics with the quantitative numeric solutions I mentioned earlier, but it's next to impossible for them to get these insights and learn why these users are not really converting. Let me give you a real life example. Let's look at a case study around new user registration. Your new registration funnel is for your users, and it's the first time that they're going to be seeing your app. So it's your first impression, and you have less than a minute to impress them. If they leave your app within 20 seconds after opening it, chances are they will abandon it. On an average, 77% of users will never come back on your app within the first week itself. The power of using qualitative analytics is that it helps you understand why these drop-offs are really occurring. Let's look at an example from one of our leading clients, Costa Coffee. Now, the Costa Coffee team was heavily promoting their loyalty program in their app a few years ago. They knew that the loyal program members spent 2.7 times more on average versus the normal users. Hence, optimizing this funnel was key for their business. Through Adobe Analytics, they were able to identify a 30% drop-off, but they were nowhere closer to figuring out why these users were really dropping off. With UXCam, they created custom events for the critical registration steps and then created a funnel. By watching the session recordings of where these people were really dropping off, they found that 15% of all drop-offs attributed to invalid passwords. More specifically, they identified that the users weren't really adding special characters to their passwords. And now imagine, this can only happen when you really start looking at user behavior by replaying sessions. This in turn helped them realize that the password creation instructions were not at all clear enough. And now, once they identified what the problem was, it was rather easy to fix it. Let me show this to you in a live example. If you also monetize your app through premium subscriptions, your main goal obviously is to convert your free users into a paid user. This funnel can be a bit harder to track because there might be multiple aha moments that will lead a user to upgrade to a pro account. You can broadly configure the steps required to go from registration all the way to subscription. Or it might be worth creating multiple funnels to track different paths towards subscription. To find out which flows are most popular, you can use UXCam's app flows, as I'm going to be showing you now. Now, let's say this user starts their journey, right? And a UXCam user will be able to see how exactly are users moving around the application. Wherever you hover, you see the exact segment and the exact count of users going from point A to B to C, whatever that might be. What's more, you choose your own start points and your own endpoints as the order placement screen in this case, so that you can really see those different paths. Another thing that you can do here is segment your data across devices, timestamps, events, custom user properties, you name it, we have everything. So it's really easy to segment your data. Another way of visualizing this data would be with screen bursts. So here, the different slices that you see are the different journeys that your end users are taking. A really cool fact for you here is that whichever journey you click on, you can either choose to view the sessions or create a funnel. Yes, that's right. Creating a funnel is as simple as clicking a button. All you need to do is name this funnel, and in case you have any steps that you need to add or reduce, you can absolutely do that. And after that, you can add any filters that you'd want to have on this funnel, create any segments for this funnel that you've pre-created, or group it. So let's say in this case, if for this funnel, I would want to know which app version is faring better for this particular funnel. I group my funnel that way, and I'm clearly able to see that version 1.5 is faring much better than version 1.2. So this is an idea on how UX Scam can really help you get to the details. What's more, any bar that I click here, it will essentially take me back to that list of sessions that I can start replaying to understand how did the user journey really look like. Let me move on to the next bit now, which is taking a look at optimizing UX, which can obviously help you improve retention. You can reduce churn and improve retention by continuously optimizing the UX of your application. The fastest way to get started is to combine app flows with screen heat maps, which will really help you identify poor performing screens on your application. Heat maps also show you that which are the different gestures that people take on your application. For example, if you find a lot of users trying to zoom in on a certain element, you might want to consider making an addition or a change with adding a zoom function or making that element bigger itself. You can also see heat maps for different device classes to compare the experience for different versions on the application. Let me move on and show you this in a practical live example. So let's say when you have, just allow me a second, please. I see there's a question. I'll take the questions at the end, if that's okay. When you have no idea where to start looking for UX issues in your application, AppFlow is a good place to start. In the next example, now I'm going to show you how you can use UX Scam to uncover friction points on your application. There are a couple of ways that you can start looking for problematic things that are happening on your application. Let's look at this demo video to show how you can possibly identify these frustration markers. Before that, let me show you screen heat maps. The UX Scam SDK automatically tags all the screens that are present on your application and lists those to you across a range of parameters for you to look at. These would be things like their visits, the number of users, the time that they're spending, and the frustration markers like rage tabs, app quits, crash counts, UI freezes, or ANRs. It's totally up to you. But coming back to the point of retention, let's say you start off at app flows, right? The next thing that you can do now is once you have your app flows would be to reverse this flow with the endpoint as the app being closed. Now, the moment you've done this, you'd really be able to see where exactly are my end users quitting the application the most from. So for example, in this case, I see a problematic screen for me is the item details page. Next, I can visit the heat map for this particular screen to really understand where the issue is happening. Whenever I open up any heat map, the tooltip shows me the exact count for any place where I'm hovering on a particular heat map, as you see here in this video. What's more, let me take a pause. So you have these filters made available to you, which show you the rage taps. Essentially, that means people are tapping again and again continuously on a single portion of the screen. Unresponsive gestures, which means that people are trying to make one of these gestures, which we track for you, but they're not really working. Or if you'd want to know where was the first gesture or the last gesture they made right before quitting the application, you'd want to understand those as well. Now, let's say in this case, I've identified that 26% people are quitting the app and possibly all of them had rage taps on their sessions. Obviously, now I have 4 questions. Where, why, when, and how did these rage taps happen? To answer the where, I obviously have the heat map, which shows me that these are the places where the problems are happening, where the rage taps are happening. To answer the why, when, and the how, the moment I go to screen visits, which essentially is tied back to the session replays, I'd be able to make a replay of all of these sessions to help me really understand what really went wrong. So let's say if we replay one of these sessions for you to help you understand how you can visualize user journeys with UXCam. The moment I replay this session, I'd be taken to this page where I can see this person now is tapping again and again and again on the name of the product. They take a pause and start tapping again and again and again on the image of the product. Now, this clearly shows me that there is a certain level of user friction or a frustration that I need to solve. Now, from this point of view, the next step is totally up to you. Do you add the ability to zoom in on a product image, or do you add the product details for every product? Regardless of what you choose, it would be an interesting idea if you tag the new screen and compare the heat map of the old one with the new screen to see if quit rates have decreased, have rate stats decreased, and then obviously you would have your answer. After releasing a newer version of the app, you can track the conversion from item details to add to cart to see if really the conversion rates have improved. Let me move on then and talk about dashboards. UXCam also allows you to create this as a continuous process. I recommend that once you've defined your key metrics, funnels, journeys, whatever those might be, you set up your dashboards. UXCam's dashboards allow you to easily visualize your KPIs in one place to track the progress, spot unusual behavior, and make data-driven decisions with confidence. In this GIF, for example, we created a dashboard that is tracking common UX issues that can affect conversion rates. For example, another cool thing here is that anywhere, wherever you click on any of these bars, any of these charts, it will take you back to the deeper level data. It'll help you understand where exactly are those sessions happening, those heat maps taking place, anything that you'd want to know, each and everything would be made available to you just at the click of a button. What's more, these dashboards can be shared using the share icon here. In case you'd want to share it with an external stakeholder, that will absolutely be possible as well. The last but not the least, talking about improving the CX process. To improve retention, it's a very big ball game. You need to ensure you have a great customer experience, but that obviously goes beyond UX. It goes into what kind of customer support are you actually offering to your end users so that you can retain them. You can easily connect UXCam to a tool like Intercom, for example. This will enable your support team to directly jump to session replays. They will be able to identify the last session of a user who reported a complaint. And instead of speaking with them and trying to really piss them off, it'll be much easier if they can replay the session and see what exactly the problem was. On top of this session replay, they will also have access to a detailed technical app log, which will help the engineers improve the debugging process. Your CS experts will be able to quickly add the right technical parameters to a Jira ticket and also add the link to the session replay should the engineers want to have a look at it. This way, engineering will be able to solve this much faster and prioritize the issues much, much better. So if you want to see more of what UXCam can do for your app, I will share a link for you to book a demo with us, or you can even access a free trial. This brings me to a conclusion for the presentation today. I would once again want to thank each and every one of you for taking out the time and listening to us so patiently. I would now be happy to answer all these questions that I see on the forum. I'll be picking them up one by one. But before that, I'd just ask Amit if he has anything to add here.
No, I mean, and that's about it, Akash. I mean, extremely happy that we could that we were able to demo UXCam. And if you could just begin to look at the questions and start answering them, that would be great.
Absolutely. So let me start off with the first question, which is how does it integrate with the applications? Is there an SDK? Yes, that is correct. We have an SDK for your applications, and we support all types of frameworks, be it Flutter, Cordova, fully native, React Native, iOS, Android, whatever that might be. We have dedicated SDKs. We have dedicated teams working on every SDK, and we bring around new releases almost every quarter to help improve on the existing feature sets as well. To answer the second question, are the reports exclusive to this platform? Can be exported? Yes, absolutely. You can always export data out of UXCam. Should you even want to export raw data, you can do that as a CSV or an XML. Otherwise, we have API connectivities that lets you send data out of it as well. I see a third question, which is, does it also report the transaction drop-offs for e-commerce applications? As long as the entire thing, the entire session is taking place within your application, yes, we'd be able to report that. We'd be able to show you those transaction drop-offs. In case somebody is not going out of the universe of your application to a third-party tool, to a third-party app, or to a web page, as long as everything is happening within the universe of your application, yes, we will be able to show you that. How does the integration work? Is it a no-code tool? I'd say it's a 50-50. So the integration is really easy. We divide the integration into two bits. The first is technical validation. The other is the customization. Technical validation means you've integrated the SDK, which is just 2 lines of code. Once you've done that, a lot of things happen automatically. The screens get tagged automatically. The sessions are shown to you automatically. Crash reporting starts working automatically. Then comes the customization bit where you bring in your events, you define your user properties. Again, that should take you maximum a day or two at max with one engineer working on it. What's more, we also assign a dedicated customer success engineer and a dedicated customer success manager for every account. And we will work hand in hand with you just to help you out through this entire integration process. I see another question if we have anything for web apps. Unfortunately, we are a mobile-centric solution. We see a lot of people trying to start off with a mobile plus web solution. But the truth of the fact is that web is a lot easier, right? You can just push a few lines of code and make it live. Mobile, on the other hand, is a very separate ball game where you have to work with App Store release cycles. And a point that I want to talk about here is that we have experience of working over 40,000 applications now. So we've been sort of battle tested where we have worked with different devices, different versions of operating systems, low end, high end, everything. So that really helps us making sure that there is no performance impact, no delay, no lags, no crashes when you're using UXCam. I see there's another question that says, does it work with cross-platform apps like React Native? I think I already answered that yes, we do work with React Native as well. And